Sir, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about this movie. It was so much fun. I
Oh,
really
thanks.
enjoyed it.
Oh,
Um,
thanks.
it really brought me back to my childhood and the certain types of action movies that me and my dad used to watch growing up. Were you a big fan of these type of movies growing up? And if so, which ones? And did you draw any inspiration for this film?
Yeah, man. I think my filmatic palette is just kind of wide, like growing up, from the ETs, but definitely, like the Die Hards. Um, um, what's the one with my with Sam Jackson and my girl Jaina? Long Kiss Goodnight. Like a
Oh,
lot of those films, man. Yeah, just always, whet my appetite, man. And always been a film of the action genre. I do feel like it's technically like the truest sense of cinema in a sense. It's movement, face, music, sound. Not you're not relying on a lot of dialogue. So yeah, just growing up, yeah, I did absolutely love them. And then for this one, I looked at some of the older classics, like Heat, was another like big motor, one that I really looked towards. I thought, Michael Mann did an amazing job, not just with the action, but also making you care about actually what happens, during the gunfights,
yeah.
and just making it very visceral and real. Um, so yeah, and then you always have to throw in Michael Bay, with the big explosions
Yeah.
and his the ability to connect with audiences and stuff. So like, had like several of those, references and stuff so that I would, kind of, thought about, looked at. But yeah, I really absolutely love this genre.
That's awesome. Now, what made Kevin the perfect fit for Connor, and were there any standout moments during filming that you really just believe that he was the perfect fit?
Yeah, so I got to be honest with Kevin. When his manager first pitched him, we were like, well, we know Kevin from Entourage, and
Yeah.
we know he's a good actor. We know he's a great actor. He nailed it as Johnny Drama. Um, but then you're like, well, doing the dramatic work. I was like, no, man, I like the guy, so let's interview. So we had a talk, and the time that I was like, no, this is my Connor, is during our conversation. First he was like, bro, like, you do realize I started off as dramatic work, I was like, in Platoon, man. I was like, yeah, you know what, you were. And so, but no, he was just so committed, understood the character's struggle, understood where the character needed to go, and was just like such a great guy just to hop on a call with and talk to. And I was just like, no, this is somebody that I feel like I can work with to make sure like we absolutely nail it. And then I think it was really the first day on set, man. I can't remember the exact scene, but once we got going, and him and I have a running joke, we'd be like, man, we were moving fast, but we'd always get it right before it was time to like move on. Like, we got it. But it was like when we were working through it, and then I saw him get it, and I was like, yeah, all right, we're good. Like, we're gonna rock this out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the cast is probably the my favorite part, especially the initial core group of guys that were, trying to get through some of this PTSD situation that they came across in the beginning of the film. Um, one thing that I noticed, you seem to have a good working relationship with Johnny Capaldi, as you've worked with him many times before. Has it become a tradition for you to incorporate him into a lot of your films?
Oh, Johnny's a good friend, man. If there's a role that I feel like is right for him, like, why not?
Yeah,
Filmmaking is so hard that, you really want to have that filmmaking community.
yeah, yeah.
And so he's just like a really good friend and a really good actor, who's also growing in his craft as I'm growing in my craft. So yeah, I'm sure we'll work together again sometime. But there's not a tradition per se, but like, if the role is right, then and he's
Yeah.
good for it, then we'll rock it out.
That's awesome. Now, one of the, big hitters that you had on this film is, action hero Bruce Willis. Can you describe how it was working with him on this film and what he brought to the table?
I mean, he brings Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
I mean, he walks through the door and everybody's like, there's Bruce Willis, there's Bruce Willis. And, there were times that I would literally have to, kind of almost pinch myself just looking at the whole amazing cast. But like when Bruce comes in, I kind of liken it to a football game. I played cornerback in school. And, when that good team is coming in, you wake up a little bit early.
Yeah.
Everybody on the team is a little bit sharper, a little bit quicker, like a little bit more on it. So everybody just kind of brought their A game, but like just being there with him and watching his work, his craft, and just bringing his moments of being Bruce Willis. It's just really awe inspiring, and just being in the presence of somebody that has that much history and is that good at what they do and is that much of a legend, especially and who's trusting you as a younger filmmaker to help bring the best of them out is very humbling and rewarding. But we got in, we got the cameras rolling, and we got the work in, man. And he was game to get it going.
That's awesome. Now, a lot of the things I also enjoyed about it is, a lot of the like intricate action scenes and stuff. With movies now, especially with action movies, there's a fine balance between CGI and practical effects. How did you find that balance, and where did you feel like you needed to stay with the practical effects to keep that realism?
Yeah. So for me, practical is the way to go,
Mhm.
as long as budget allows. So all of our gunfight, 99% of it is all practical.
Yeah,
The explosions are 99, 95% all practical.
yeah,
Um, and then use CGI to kind of supplement. I feel like if you're doing an action scene and it's just maybe like a couple of pistol shots,
hmm,
you can get away with CGI. But like when you have sustained gunfire and back and forth battles, at some point that lack of energy that you miss when you're just using replicas, you'll miss that. And so it just adds, having those real guns there just adds a real visceral nature to the action scene that you can't mimic. And it gives the actors added energy when they feel that coming out. But like for us, and this was before the Russ tragedy, we have an amazing armorer, Eric Petaway, and his wife Adrian. Like they were, safety was always paramount, on point. Um, and you follow all safety protocols, man, and you can do this stuff very well and very safely.
hmm,
But there is, you just don't, no matter how fast you have to move, there's one thing you don't sacrifice, and that's safety. And so no matter what your budget is, you get a great armor, and you take those precautions. And then when they get stuff set, have your cameras ready, and make sure you capture it all.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, throughout your all of your films, you have a lot of like themes that you got. With this one, I felt like it was a lot of camaraderie and
Mhm.
loyalty and just honor in some ways, even with Leon's character. What's one theme that you hope that a lot of the audience like takes away from this film?
Yeah, and you mentioned Leon. He's another one who is just like freaking amazing. From Above the Rim, Cool Runnings
Yeah, yeah,
to all those movies, man. Like he was just a joy to work with, and he really brought a level of complexity to his character that wasn't there. And so I think like I say that I give that premise because I feel like with his character and the other characters, the real theme and the metaphor that I feel is taking place here is that we all come from different areas in life, and we all on the surface may look good or do things that are bad for the right reasons, wrong
yeah,
reasons.
yeah,
And there are times in life where we have to put all of those things aside and come together, to defeat a common enemy,
yeah,
or
yeah.
or create a common good. And to me, that's kind of what it's about. It's just really a metaphor of where we are today, and putting those differences aside.
Yeah, definitely. I really saw like the lines between good and evil were kind of gray, and you couldn't
Mm,
you were not forced, but you learned to understand both sides of
mm,
different situations. Um,
yeah.
Now another one of my favorite characters in this film is Frank's character. He just brings this like old school like Western style. Like he's just I feel like he's like the next big action hero. How was it working with Frank? And I know he's a very intense actor.
Yeah, he's very intense. It was great working with him, man. Like, working scenes with him. He's just a consummate professional. He pushes you to be better. He wants to be better, and like, again, as a former football player, man, having, your teammates to push each other to do better, be better, gives you the best product. But like we worked together on a Western before, and like it was just great. He's a great guy, great friend. Um, it was cool, man. He really brought what we needed for that character, that rock of
Hmm.
of the team, and him. I don't want to give the movie away, but him making certain decisions to always protect the team,
Definitely.
was really great. So like he was awesome.
Uh, my last question for you. You've gone to work with some big celebrities in your films. Who's the next big action hero you want to in a future film?
I'll tell you who's going to be the next big action hero.
Okay.
It's going to be Kelly Rowland.
Oh, what?
Yeah, we're working on one 3 Mile In that films here. We're waiting on the exact date when it starts, but it's a cool little Reservoir Dogs meet Smoking Aces kind of movie. And she's leading it, and she's just going to blow people away.
That sounds so interesting and so amazing.
Yeah.
Sir, thank you so much for your time. And like I said, this is such a fun film, and I hope that you have a good rest of the day.
No, I appreciate it. And thanks for checking it out, man. And, it's really important for us. A lot of the, what movies with Bruce Willis get tagged, as Bruce Willis. And we really wanted to just try to make something real and elevated, and hope people just really watch it for what it is,
Yeah, yeah.
and no prejudging. Cause honestly, man, I've been working hard, and I feel like this is one that this is as closest to a vision that I've had been able to execute to a vision I had and then what's released to the world, and the audience reaction has been great. And I'm really happy with it, man.
Yeah, it's a really fun movie, and I think it's the perfect film for, people to just, watch together and have fun. Like me and my dad used to love action films growing up, so
Yeah.
it's really reminiscent of those type of films, and I loved it.
All right. Awesome, man. And thanks for having me, and keep up the great work on the website, man. I'm a big fan.